Heyo, this is Jason Gannigan, founder of Gold Star Studio. And I just finished No More Men, the Dawn of the Dead tribute short film. Uh, and I wanted to, while it's still fresh in my head after 50, 60 hours of working on it over a week or so, um, get down what what happens when you're working on a project like this. And some people just aren't going to care. Some people are going to like it. I mean, this video. Explaining in more detail what needs to happen. I've just been out in the sun for quite a few hours, for 3 hours, replacing the starter on my car. That was fun. You got to take apart a lot of the engine compartment components, the whole air system and whatnot. Anyway, this is a quick video for a bottling company. So the idea here is getting all these machines in a row and that. Uh, Now, as we see, we started with Wooly, and here's the problem with AI. You tell it what you want in a long prompt like this, and it doesn't do what you want, right? We've got to give it a starting image, which you can see up here. And sorry about the pops. I'm using this cheap headset. Don't have my nice studio at home. Um, so we start with an image. This is a screenshot from the film here with Wooly, and I picked up on these two National Guard guys. Um, and I wanted to tell their story, what's going on with them. The funny thing is, when you start looking for National Guard members in the opening sequence, in the raid, up with SWAT, you will start seeing them all over the place. It's scary because I've seen this film like you guys a million times, and I didn't notice how I won't say integrated, but how involved the National Guard members are in that. And it's just really wild. Some of the shots are very fast, quick, tenth of a second kind of things, half a second. But this is the kind of nonsense that you get out of AI. And I need you guys to understand that. That's why we have to have so many credits burned. You know, I'm eh, I'm using 720p most of the time without native audio. I'll add something in myself, and that's 15 credits. And you buy them in packs of 300 and you burn through them pretty quick. If you want to do 1080p, the only reason I would generate in that right now for this topic is to have a start and an end frame, which I would have made to go from this to this, right? Whatever this finish frame would be. And that helps the AI out a lot, but it will cost like 45 credits. And then you can do other things with it. So as we see here, it's turned them into World War I gas mask wearing guys coming up stairs that don't exist, doing something I don't want them to do. And so this is an example of the iteration that we need. Why is Willie now with the carbine and someone else has come out of the wall? Willie's going downstairs, everybody. This is what happens. It just doesn't make any sense. And so you've got to work on iterating these prompts. And I'm constantly going back and forth with Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever I'm working with to get a better lock on what it needs. And sometimes we just have to throw this out. We might try for 40 minutes, to make something happen, and this approach just isn't working, and we have to start over, figure out a different starting shot, a different angle, a different way of doing the shot. I think like a director, right? There's lots of people who can make you cool explosions, right? And those are kids. They have no taste. They don't know how to make anything that actually has emotion in it. They can do the superhero flying down to a squirrel pose and then choreographed punching. Like, I'm not a big superhero movie fan, to be honest. I'm more into realism like this. Okay? I'm an old guy. I care about people in the real world, right? Iron Man's kind of close. Somebody asked me a long time ago what superhero I'd be, and I said, well, I'd probably actually be Lex Luthor because I'm bald and a business guy. Uh, but anyway, this is the kind of nonsense you come up with. It's already changed their gas masks and their uniforms. They're coming up as SWAT maybe. So it's just kind of baffling. I think in this case I had edited Wooly, and yeah, and Roger out to start again. And you got to understand, this is like 20 minutes of why are they going in there? Who is this third guy coming up the stairs, right? So we're telling it what it's going to do. I think I'm trying to split it up into two motions here. Um, and so I think I'm starting something different here, trying a new approach that didn't work very well. Um, yeah, this is image generation. So uh, I've deleted a lot of frustrating scenes too, which I kind of wish I'd kept to show you guys because, as you could see, sometimes the ridiculousness is very funny, and at least one time in this whole project, we got something that I incorporated because I looked at it and went, "That's funny." So, generally speaking, I would want to generate in Flow, and I don't know if that's working or not. You guys have seen this by now. I'll generate a scene in Flow, and then I'll fill it with these. This is another project I'm working on with these characters. See over here, you're allowed to make references and then put them in. And I think we've lost a lot here. But generally speaking, yeah, not too much happened here in terms of evolution on this one. Uh, this is me trying to make a background of the tenement by itself to put in here, in this little window here. You guys aren't going to see it. You're never going to care, but I didn't want it to just be black, right? And so it's the combination. See, this is the kind of thing you get. Um, it did draw this side as if it was open, and I didn't want that, so I cropped all those clips featuring the building or these truck shots to cut off there so you wouldn't see that. There was a lovely fire truck that was there. This is me trying to do something with layers. Yeah, there's that fire truck. So that was fun. And then this is me like insisting that they draw or AI draw the right characters, the right truck, the right faces, because it will slip. You know, you'll do 100 of these and suddenly Bennett here won't be wearing glasses or the National Guard 28th Infantry Division um, badge will have vanished. So this is an example. So I've taken a clip here, I guess, of uploading Peter um, and this fight scene. And I took this ages and ages ago, this screenshot when I was making the first film. That's supposed to be Collins, but I took him out of the bottom, the end frame, when they popped open the hatch. Getting AI to draw the hatch was very difficult, both here and in the video animation. So, but this is the process. Draw it first in Flow or some image generator, and then take that image and animate it. And I think a lot of stuff here has been lost from the earlier work I did. This is a good example. So I would create a scene, and it's always wrong, right? So I took the joists out of a screenshot with our green leader guy, National Guard black guy. And I went, okay, I have to look at a lot of details. I look at gloves, I look at how they do things, what equipment they're using, and then structural things like these joists here. And you're thinking, what does this thing look like on the other side, this door or this hatch? And I found that using the word door or hatch really screwed up Kling. Kling has an idea of what a door looks like, and this is not it. So I would constantly try and draw um, horrible things, right? Full-size doors and daylight coming in if I said hatch. Um, it is a very patience requiring experience doing this kind of thing. So part of the reason I'm making it is I want you to understand as a loyal viewer, this is not just type the thing into AI and you get, no, that is bullshit. Okay. If anybody says that, they don't know what they're talking about, period. Okay. I generated this scene first and it drew walls on the sides here and made it a very narrow kind of thing. And I had to go through several revisions to get it to remove those walls and make the back wall across the entire frame. Then I added in more boxes, and then I added in um, the leader and Collins. And even this was too close. We have a bunch of funny videos of them kind of skipping and hopping. But you see these joists here, right? This is the kind of thing I'm talking about where I'm taking detail that I see. Um, this was a generated shot. We have a bunch of those. I hate how that looks. This one was good enough that I used it. And I think I'm trying to modify um, how the room looks because we do see the layout, right? I had to figure out what does this room look like from the other side. Uh, this is I couldn't believe I got this shot. I could not believe it. This is the reverse of a shot looking at them from below because this hatch is like 3 or 4 feet higher. And the AI, I asked the AI to reverse the shot and make it like I was looking down, as you could see here, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, and they were still awake, so I had to show them, hey, they're dead, but you cannot say dead or shot with AI video generation, or you run into censorship, and it's a pain. So yeah, I was glad Peter was generated in there, but he was too close. Wrong weapon. He's too far back. What the heck is going on here? Right? This is the kind of patience, this is not how the room looks. I could crop though. See? I could crop and get in closer, and you guys would never see the outside. Um, and we'll see what happened when I tried to animate the zombies, that sort of panning shot. So this was an interesting thing that happened. No matter how hard I tried, the AI had real difficulty with a cinder block wall under these stairs or something, right? It wanted to draw another railing. I would tell it, it terminates here, this stairwell. There is no more stairwell. This is the basement. Stop. And it would still go ahead and draw. I was attempting to get Peter and Roger in there so that leader could see them. It just wouldn't put them in the right place. It would flip the guy around, trying to add in the zombies. It would, you can see some of the zombies there that we're used to, like that one, right? But it's a mess. And so I'm trying to we know how he's holding the weapon um, facing through this frame. I'm trying to get the AI to draw him with his arm out on the other side of the wall, holding back the door from bouncing back, because that's what he does. And it just wouldn't do it. It would do this, right? It would do this. Now the gun's not pointing through the hole anymore. Whoops, accidental download. Uh, and so, and this is the level of perfection I'm trying to go for, right? So anybody who calls this AI slop, I just hate that person. They don't know what they're talking about. This looks problematic. You try and include the zombies. This is an example of drift, right? The room is pretty good. The zombies have totally changed, and the texture of the walls have inexplicably changed. I didn't tell it to do that. Um, Roger and Peter don't look like each other. They're in the wrong spot. Why does Roger have these clothes? And so it's just a really weird struggle to get the AI to draw something finally, but his gun's pointed down, right? This is a problem. I actually did a video generation using this shot, and then realized, nope, his gun has to be pointing through there. And the shoulder patches disappear, reappear in the wrong spot. Why does it have a blue border? It's just like if you can think of a way for the AI to draw it wrong, there's an example of the door showing up instead of the hatch. It will do it. It will figure it out. How can I screw this up, right? So yeah, so this is kind of the thing that we're dealing with. Suddenly, yeah, all the boxes disappear. It flips them around because it's used to showing faces and people running away. I think we're going back in time here as we go up the screen here. So I'm just trying to get them drawn so that we can get a shot of them after they've run through the cellar stairwell room and looked into that room where the SWAT is fighting, wrestling with the zombies, and then run into a room. See, there's that daylight. I said hatch, and like it's a puzzle. You got to figure the door, right? You got to figure out what's wrong with your prompt. Now, this looks like it could be okay, except I don't like the enclosed walls, and there should not be a handle on this side, and the hinges are wrong, right? The hinges are on the other side because the door opens that way, and we shouldn't see it. And so maybe there should be a handle, but if so, it should be over here. No, there shouldn't be a handle because we saw the other side. We saw this side when leader here busts it open in the movie. So yeah, like I said, if you could figure out why is there a third guy, right? If you can figure out a way, or if AI can figure out a way to screw it up, it will. Um, let's keep going here. Uh, you start with something. Here's Rivera's, hey man, hey. And he's saying something like it's just wrong, right? I can't do anything with that because it's his mouth movement. I could pay 5 credits to fix that, I guess. But I ran it again and got him to be more suspicious. Here's the thing. We have the starter image, and uh, these air filters are off frame, cut off. And so what happens when the Kling animates it? Look at here, we got little minis, right? And so I couldn't show you that because obviously that was not good. So what I did was I cropped the frame really tight so that you're following them kind of over the shoulder, and so you never see the outside edges of those air filters. This one was pretty good. This was probably one of the more straightforward scenes. Those of you who saw the community posts on YouTube saw that I made a front room. It was empty. It didn't have any furniture in it. Then I populated the furniture, and then I added the characters in. And so that's the level of work that goes into this. It isn't just, hey, draw me this with that in it. That will not work. As you saw, Flow or whatever image generator you're using will screw it up, and you want consistency. We had a lot of problems here with gas masks, respirators. I did a lot of research for this, the specific kind of respirator, what uniforms, what that 28th Infantry Division thing. That's exactly what they're members of. Um, and obviously, after choosing the subject, we're talking about body disposal, and I had to figure out how do you do it? How do you dispose of bodies? How does the military do it? And guys, fortunately, there was an example for us in 1978. It's called the Jonestown Massacre, which I had heard of before, but there's a detail coming up that I had not. Where a guy named Jim Jones was a very charismatic preacher type, got a bunch of people to move from I think San Diego, California to Guyana, and like I think a congressman was killed going down to visit, certainly shot at. Should check my facts before I start these things, but it was serious, and so they sent down people to investigate what this guy was doing, and it got to the point where all the people of Jonestown committed suicide through lethal injection, basically, and they killed their kids, and one of the funny things was they killed a chimpanzee. And I found this story where the military was down there doing the cleanup. They were cleaning up the bodies, and the first thing they did was ask for snow shovels. So I had to think about this. Do I want snow shovels involved? Well, no. My bodies here have not decayed, right? Those ones have been sitting in the sun in Guyana, and it's awful. And they, we're goop, we're picking up goop. And so there's this story of a trooper coming up to a officer, I think it was a colonel, and saying, "Hey, there's this like dead gorilla here, and I don't know what to do with it. Like, should we cut the arms off?" And the colonel says, like, "Why do you want to bag a gorilla, right? It's." And so they actually created a joke out of it because they're all, crazy from black humor, having to clean up all these bodies. There were a lot of people. Like, go watch a documentary about Jonestown if you haven't. It's a terrifying thing. I think I saw it first when I was a teenager. One of those films in history class in high school. They showed us that. So the joke was, somebody's going to open the body bag, and boy, are they going to be surprised. And so I decided to include that in in our film here, just as a nod with the mannequin. And the mannequin, I had the idea for a mannequin, and I thought, and some of you may not have made the connection, I don't know, but this Dawn of the Dead 1978 is set in November. It is set pretty much just after Halloween. And so I thought, well, what if there was like a discarded mannequin that we're in a tenement with Puerto Ricans and other folks, but what if there was a Hispanic um, Halloween decoration that they had made out of this? And so I looked up what are some Puerto Rican Halloween related myths or stories or whatever, legends, right? And came up with that witch house thing. Um, and so I went through a whole bunch of AI drawing different versions of that until I got one that I liked. And we'll get to that. It had a very difficult time, Kling, with people taking things off. See, I had to cut in a lot of places and turn things into 2 or 3 shots. This is absolute nonsense, right? This is not how we take gear off. Things turn into other things, and this was a beginning and end shot. I wanted Bennett reacting. Much to my surprise, Bennett did not speak during the whole film. He's the quiet guy, and he's not very mechanically competent. There we are. He misses a glove being thrown at him. He kicks a flashlight, which is a gag that I wanted, and went back to actually create. This I was very happy with. I did the same thing, build the room, populate it, put all the blood on, and then put the zombie and leader in there, and get that to be consistent as an image to start. That light actually gets bumped when Rivera and Bennett come in. And so, I'm trying this. That may have been the one that I used. I don't know. We'll see. There's no hand motion in this one. Yeah. Um, and I'm like, okay, well, how do I show them walking in there? I had to get the stuff on the table. The AI Kling would not draw the air filters, just one air filter with each respirator, despite the fact that I had reference images of the exact thing. It just wouldn't do it. So that's what we had. I took screenshots of Foster and Mr. Berman and animated them. Some I did lip sync on, some I did not. And as you can see, this Greek or whatever stuff kept coming up, and I would tell it no letters, no no subtitles or symbols or anything, and it would just do that, and I couldn't get past it. I had to do something else. I don't remember how I got around it, but um, it did a good job with the animation. They look good. See, there. My prompt's starting to get better. I may have taken the clip until it went to full static in the background.
Citizens may no longer occupy private residences, no matter how safe.
So
Citizens
there's where I spent the 5 credits
may
in Omni to
no
get lip sync,
longer
and I just kill
occupy
that audio
private
and
residences.
replace it. I would use a tool for voice cloning. It's up here somewhere. Nope. Note GPT. Yeah. So I'd take um,
No,
him and Vermin talking, and leader, and make 30 seconds of them as a sample so it would get their voice. And again, that's a lot of work. Nobody sees all this extra stuff. Nobody sees the Foley that I did. Right, these turned out pretty good. Berman turned out good. And I would take the piece that I want, right? That's the thing. You're normally cutting off edges here. There's a shot in the room, and I didn't lip sync that. Yeah, entry. Oh, we're about to get into the body bag debacle. Yeah, they bumped the lamp and it rolled away. That was kind of neat. Uh, so getting getting Flow to draw a hallway behind the door that did not extend out in this direction, but rather went this way, was almost impossible. It was the hardest thing that I did on this project. It took me hours. It would not do it. Finally, I got this and I cropped it close, and we didn't see that. There should be another doorway over here, right? Coming in from the front room of the apartment. But this was the look at Collins. I realized at a point I'd forgotten to give them their gloves, uh, and I needed a way to get around that. So I had Collins distribute them essentially, and we'll see how that goes. This was there was the miss, uh, but weird things happen. Look at the body bag and see what happens to the plastic liner. It just peels off like an onion layer, right? So I can't use it. I used a close up of Bennett missing the glove, which I thought was hilarious because I didn't plan for that. And just got to keep this. This was pretty much the main thing, right? Gloves are still appearing out of nowhere, but it doesn't matter the way I cut it. It's okay. And then, I'll keep trying. Now I've got to get. So the problem I'm solving here is I've got to get somebody, probably Collins here, to come into the room and drag that body around to the body bag. Now, here's the thing. Like I've been saying, sometimes the AI just will not do something. In this case, it would not draw the body being pulled out, shoulders and heads first for the head to be down here and the feet to be up here. It would only draw it with the head up here and the feet down here. So it's opposite to the way I would do it, but it worked. So I took the clip of him getting to the body over here, try and run it again, bump that out of the way. So it's just a sequence, and then the rolling of the body. This look at that. That's ridiculous, right? AI is not good at showing weight. It is. It's like the first attempts with the body bag carrying. It was like carrying a bag of leaves, right? So there's no sense of weight there, and this is another research thing. I had to research like how do you load a body bag? Well, you roll them into it. It's complicated, and so I went back to okay, well, this is an idea of let me get another shot here. And so what happens with the rolling? Rolling, rolling, extra rolling. And you just got to keep trying and editing until you get it right. That one was close enough, right? It's not perfect. I don't love it, but try it again and it was close enough. Now we get more rolling. The face has changed and suddenly, whoop, his head just totally reversed. He's upside down. Like I want him face down, but very, very odd. Then the zipper problem. I'm just trying to get a shot of them closing the body bag, right? The plastic has changed to more like plastic wrap. I don't like that, but I had to live with it. And Rivera here is just running the zipper up one side of the bag, right? This is the crap that a creator has to deal with, where they just don't do stuff right. That wasn't bad. I don't know if I kept that or not. But I just, I'll always keep trying probably a little more. Again, yep, totally missing the zipper. I'm telling him to zip it shut. Here, folding. Yeah, I probably used that. Probably worked a little better. Um, I think, yeah, this was one of the few shots that worked out on the first try, I think. So I cut it, I cropped it. Obviously, we didn't see that much on the left side. Um, and then getting the TV right was really hard. Um, I wanted some light from the TV in there, but the more I tried to do that, the less realistic it looked. And I didn't want them crowding the door, but I also didn't want this hallway to be super wide either. And just the impression of that. They would do stupid things. Just watch the body bag. That one's not so bad. I think I used this one. The TV's there. So why are we having police lights flashing from the TV? That's weird. Let's put the body bag down, which was not asked for. Kind of good. I kind of like that. But again, they put the body bag down. And they are clustered. Now, I had to have a way of getting Collins into the room to pick up the mannequin, and I had to have a way for him to get his gloves off because I generated the video, as we'll see in a minute, of him carrying the mannequin, and I loved it. So I had to go back and retcon. Um, More, why are they going into the room? I did not direct them to go into the room, or I guess that's Rivera to drop the body bag. So I was going for Marky Mark energy, right? Early Mark Wahlberg, smart ass. And I really wanted that sign to move with gravity because, in my opinion, it should have been hanging anyway, but whatever. We'll say something stopped it, friction, his hand, I don't know what. Um, I did not lip sync him. I just figured out what he might be saying with the number of syllables and the type of. This is voiceover work, like translating Japanese anime into English. You got to move with the syllables and then come up with something that's sort of similar. Here's another version of that, which I didn't use, but it's his cockiness is there, as you can see. Why was there the whoop at the end? That's the witch house. There's a Casa de la Llorona. Um, so I had to get him um, to give up his gun and his gloves. I realized in order for him to come out carrying it with his hands. And yeah, I trimmed this really short because every time I did it, he would point the weapon at the recipient, and we don't do that with guns. so, um, so I just cut it, and I tried it a few times, but as you can see, it changed the markings. I was okay with him reaching out with the gloves, but there's the barrel again. Um, I decided to keep it simple by cutting Rivera from the shot and making him out of the shot. Um, he's just smiling this time. He's not saying anything, so I ran it again. Jeez. Um, yeah, this is it. You just, yeah, that one again, matching syllables and voice mouth movements instead of lip syncing. This one I lip sync because it was just a shot on him and it was too important.
Bag it. Somebody's got to be unloading the truck.
So I had the voice generation, the cloning done for him, so that's why it sounds like him already. Tried to run it again. Oh, that's the why. You know what? Why are we bagging? And I realized he should back up, so I ran it again. But now he's looking a little weirded out, so I cut that really short. And now we're going to body bag. I wanted a little more action over here. He's carrying it one-handed, so that was not good enough. And so there's a bunch of iterations here. Why are they going back in the building? Everyone just files in after them. Did not instruct them to do that. One-handed again. This looks like one I kept. All right, so I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's a stupid thing about AI. See, I would crop it on the left there so that you wouldn't see past the edge of the building. There's that fire truck. But AI will draw a very nice crate for you and then show two soldiers carrying it away in an impossible manner. The handles are on the sides, and it drew that, but it couldn't figure out that they should lift it by the handles, right? Little things like that would be an error that I would leave in because it wouldn't be that important. Um, these, I'm just showing you like the sausage being made here, right? He's walking way too far, but that's okay. I can cut it short, right? I can cut the clip to fit. Did a good job with the steam in behind. And so I run this a couple times. Oh, yeah, he doesn't have a rifle in this one. And so I regenerated it with the rifle. Still no gloves. Nobody's got any gloves in these scenes. It's a screw up. But I was very happy with this. despite the lack of gloves. That the sense of weight, the heftiness. There's still body bag heads. I don't know. I decided to leave them in. Like, who cares? They're not going to see it or know what it is. But the 1 and the 2, that worked out really well. I was happy with that on the first try, maybe, or I deleted whatever else was going on. Now I'm trying to get body bags loaded and Bennett to just accidentally nudge it with his foot because I thought the lighting change would be kind of neat, right? It would do something for the scene. As you can see, it doesn't know how to load bodies. It makes new body bags. This is another thing I researched, that this is how they're stacked. I think you can do 6 deep and 4 tall or 3 tall, something like that. But they lay them this way because that's the width of the truck. So it's actually drawing them a little smaller than I think they really are. But again, here I'm like I told him it. If we look at the prompt, accidentally lightly bumps the flashlight with his foot, and the flashlight rolls slightly but does not roll out of the truck bed. Well, does that look like accidentally slightly? No, that looks like a kick, and that is not what I wanted. Now, I had to get these guys into the basement, right? And so I thought I'll have an officer come up and he'll tell them to go in and do it. Well, try as I might, in the flow image generation of this, I could get the officer to not have any markings and things like that, but put it into Kling, and the moment you use this phrasing, it comes out as a World War II officer. Like watch Saving Private Ryan, you'll see Tom Hanks has that 2 or H thing or whatever the hell it is. That's your command signature, I think, or maybe the division. I don't know. But anyway, it's not what I wanted at all. I ran through a couple of iterations and I was like, this ain't, it's not changing. Like I told it not to, no letters, no unit markings, no rankings, no World War II style helmet markings, no insignia, right? You can tell it that and it will still do what it wants. So I tried this a few times. I kept getting the same thing. Finally, like, okay, I'll generate a radio. And I wanted, the shot that I wanted was the shadow of 2 people approaching it. That's all I wanted. So here it's drawn World War II uniforms, wrong radio. I come back with a screenshot of the right radio. Um, this was the shot I eventually used. I've deleted the ghost ones where they had like an opaque pair of pants walk through. Um, running down. Yeah, you just want them to run down the stairs. You guys see this nonsense, right? I want them to run down and stop in front of the door. What do? The AI invents a new hallway, stairway, door, and that's what we're stuck with. Um, Here I said they stop because they see something scary. Well, yeah, there's something scary. What the hell is that? A scarf? Faces don't look good. Um, that might have been a start finish too because his face gets better as time goes on. So I can't use any of these. I start them down there and they run over and find a new open doorway. Finally, I'm getting them to look into the room. I didn't say for that door to open and somebody else to come into the room. So I could clip that or not use it. Instead, I decided to revise the prompt and try again. And I used some of this because obviously by itself it's too long. I took a screenshot of SWAT and the National Guard fighting zombies upstairs and used that as the base. Here again, I didn't tell them to run out of the room. I just wanted them to wrestle with the zombies for a bit over the guns. And Leader and Collins can't shoot. They can't. They don't want to go in the room. Um, they can't really do much, right? You point your weapons in there, you've got a problem. Um, so just to see like what happens. No, I specifically said they don't leave the room, so they leave the room. And then they hear Peter and Roger's gunfire, but apparently the AI has decided to create that gunfire, which I didn't ask for. So we're going to run it again. I'm just trying to get them to react to the sound and run. And then, as we saw with Flo, create this shot of slamming it open with his elbow and then holding his gun up later. But I had that old shot as the finish frame of him pointing the gun down, so no good. And then 2 minutes later, I'll see that and go, oh, yeah. See, there's some funny stuff that happens with. Maybe I was trying to tack this onto the end to get the gun pointing right, but it's still not right. It shuts, it explodes, it folds. It's trying to figure out how to do stuff. Now I'm just trying to get them to run up to it, and as you can see, they both came from nowhere. They're not the same people. This guy turns into leader at the end. He becomes a black guy. Um, I think I used this one. I don't like it. I think I slowed it down or sped it up. I don't like how they scoot up to it, but whatever. Yeah, I think I used that. That's where he's talking to. I wanted the reverse shot of him, right? Leaning out into the room, a long bit of. Um, so this is worth looking at. So I've got Roger and Peter in there, and I say they're looking up at a window or something like that. I've been too specific. Sometimes the thing to do is to strip the prompt down to be so minimal. Um, it just created something for them to look at. This trapdoor thing that comes out of the ceiling with shoes. I didn't ask for that, right? So, I revise, try again. I had to figure out what kind of guns they've got too. They're a specific kind of revolver that was issued at the time, and so I had to draw those. This one turned out okay. I took a piece of it. We saw what happened here. I thought this was amazing, but on my 2 attempts to run this as a shot, they're supposed to all be dead, shot, killed, and we've got movement. We've got movement, reaching, something with the hand. This person, zombie's doing something. I like the angle. I used a fisheye effect on the one that I used. This one pretty good, but still movement, movement, movement. Can't use it, so I just took a still and did that. And then this was this morning. I went back and I was like, okay, they need to have gloves because this is a close-up shot. You guys are going to see that. So I redid it, and I'm still trying to get them to bump the flashlight. Bennett here. I think I used that one. And yeah, it's way too much. And once again, it can't quite figure out what to do with the body bag. But that was it. That's where I stopped. And if we look at this thing in, that's not CapCut. If we look at this thing in CapCut, it is, oh, am I ready? Way too long. Just trying to get it so that it fits on the frame comfortably. Uh, yeah, it's a number of layers. There's all my video clips. There's that vintage film thing, some other effects, my closing credits, opening title, I guess, for neatness' sake. That should go on its own layer up here. It doesn't want to let me do it. Try to minimize the number of tracks, but I've got to arrange all these and do something. I added a better shotgun blast for Wooly here because I wanted to really hear it. I've never liked that shotgun blast in the movie. Um, and so there's decisions to be made about how to stitch things together, whether to do a fade in, a mix, or just slam the shots together. I've gotten some Foley here of people walking on a wooden floor. There's more. There's some of the dialogue. And then while that's going on, we've got the sound from the movie to fit what's going on upstairs. And I've applied a reverb to it so it sounds like it's farther away. It's not right next to them. And I've isolated the voice from the music and sound effects so I could turn that down or up independently depending on what I want. Um, I added better rifle fire for Peter shooting Willie here. I wonder what this is. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I have to go find it. There's a lot of media pieces to put this together. It's something. It's some sound effect I wanted. And then stitching things together, making like these were in 1080p, the Bennett shots here. So I had to adjust them with some particulation and fading so that they wouldn't be too sharp and not match the rest. And then the music, we've got 3 pieces of music here. I had to figure out how to stitch them together. So far, the people who have watched it with me in the room didn't even notice the music. So I'll take that as a win because it means it's not distracting. And yeah, here's a point where we're getting to the TV, and I have to figure out how am I going to get Collins in the room, and I've got to apply this because I didn't have to here, but I wanted to kind of explain the reason why it goes black. The room is dark, and I've put in the sound of a light switch here, clack, uh, to explain that Collins has turned on the light to the room. There's another spot later where I needed a bit of a gap. Like I added in, there's a helicopter sound I added in. There's a car door slamming shut. Stuff that you probably won't notice, but it just adds to the ambiance. I wasn't happy with Peter and Roger's gunfire as far as them, Collins and Leader, hearing it and going, oh crap, we better go check that out. So I added some extra boom echoes to it. I don't know. I don't know if they did anything at all. I really don't know. Yeah, this is the sound of the guys, the SWAT and that one National Guard guy wrestling with the zombies in that side room. Got a couple good things there. Um, and at this point, we're lined up with. I have to get us to the scene in the movie where Leader pops through the hatch, and so I've switched. This all lines up, right? The music all lines up. Um, Everything matches after that point to get them to slamming that open. And curious, yeah, this was a spot. Um, so there was a point here where I liked something and I didn't like something in the clip, and so I used this burn to explain the gap as they run down the stairs, and then they're in position. I think they did too much. Maybe this might even be 2 clips. I don't know, but I needed a time gap in there, a very short one, half a second or something like that. And then I've got to make the editorial decision of, okay, how long do I let these things run? And we're at the end of the music here. This is all the dialogue from those scenes, right? With Leader and Peter talking, and then that's the Jesus Christ right at the end there. I actually took that and put a little half second or 1 second gap, I think, in there. It sounded better. I just stretched it out more. I made um, Peter louder here, where you need more men. I don't know what he says. Nah, yeah, or you all right down here? Yeah. It was really quiet. And then I've got to run the closing credits. And I spent way too much time at the end. I had done this before going back this morning and doing that revision of trying to get the final note to extend. It just wouldn't do it. There's some sounds in there in the original soundtrack by Goblin that won't let me just copy and paste and copy and paste to extend this sound. I really wanted to have more of a woompy ending, good ending to it, but I just had to deal with it um, as it was. So that's the story of how to create these things. As you could see, I don't know how long this video has gone for, probably too long, but for those who like this kind of stuff, they can't get enough of it, right? So appreciate it. If you want to donate through Ko-Fi, you can. The channel description page on YouTube has the link to it. $7 will buy, 300 credits, right? And that's enough to get started on something. I think I went through at least 1,500, no, plus the subscription of 600 or 800 credits or something like that. So, you know, 2,500, 3,000 credits, maybe more, to get to this, which is the longest that I've made, at whatever it is, 2 minutes. Yeah, two and a half to get to here, 2:34. So I hope you like it. I appreciate you watching, and feel free to comment, subscribe. Let me know whether this was interesting or boring or funny. There's I should have kept some of those generations that were truly weird. I get mad when I'm doing this because I'm sitting here for like 8 or 10 hours straight, sometimes more. This is deep work. It's not something you can just sit down and do for an hour or something like that, right? It's something you have to commit to. So thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. Yeah, it's almost an hour. Wow. I'll talk to you soon.